Hi there, Mark Lieber, A3GMunitions, at the range today, breaking in a new customer's 12 gauge. It is a VR80. It is the A3GMunitions Edition, which already has the carbon fiber handguard and all the other goodies. But let's get you in here and give you a picture. All right, we are going to get started breaking in this VR80. Once again, let me recap. So it is it's unloaded, obviously, well, not obviously, unloaded. It is the A3GMunitions edition of the VR80. We tricked these out in-house, and we are going to break this in. They say 250 rounds from the manufacturer, but I've never needed more than about 125 to get them broken in. So what we've got is, obviously we've got these magazines we're going to load up. It's a 19 round mag with a +2 extension, so we got 21 rounds we have to load. Folks, that's a pain in the butt. If you've ever loaded a magazine, it takes a while. So we've got our little, our A3GMunitions mag loaders. We've got the normal one. This is actually version 2. It looks a little different from the ones you guys have probably seen. And then we've got the mini, which smaller, fits in your mag, in your range bag. Then we've got this new one for you Sega and Dissident owners. Didn't want to leave you guys out in the cold. But anyway, we're going to use these mag loaders. We've got some break-in shells here, ranging from 1325 all the way up to 1400. You know, unfortunately, you got to take what you can get these days. But anyway, we're going to start breaking it in here in a minute, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes. All right, we got 15 rounds through it. It's acting really nice. It's behaving itself. I had a couple stoppages. Mostly failure to feed out of the magazine. So now we're going to 19. One failure to feed. That's pretty good, folks. We're going to keep working on it, though. All right, we've got another 19 round mag with a Taylor Freelance +2 we're going to grab. All right, folks, 19 round magazine with a Taylor Freelance +2 makes it 21. Goes in the battery real smoothly. Everything's breaking in really nicely. We've got about 35 rounds to the gun so far. Not a single hiccup with that mag, folks. These things break in really nice if you get them nice and oiled up. They really do break in very easily. I've read a lot of stuff online, people saying they don't feed. You're doing something wrong, frankly. I've never had one of these that I've broken in at the shop not work perfectly with 1150s or 1145s. So we're gonna keep doing this. I'll check back in later. Okay guys, time to load up another mag. I have now shot 2 mags of 1325s, two 21 round mags, 2 12-round mags of 1325s. So that's 24 plus 42, that's 66 rounds so far of 1324s, 1325s. I've got some Challenger 1 ounce 1200 foot per second. I'm going to load up. Again, we're using the A3GMunitions standard mag loader. We also make a mini, and I have one for you Dissident Sega guys as well. So we're going to load this up real quick and see how these 1200s run through the gun. I took the gun out of the sun because that handguard's heating up a little bit. It is the carbon fiber, so it doesn't get as hot as the aluminum, but it does get a little warm. All right, 21 rounds, folks. And we will put, actually, we'll just use this for now. So we got 21 rounds of the Challenger, little 1 ounce, 1200 foot per second. We'll get you set up and we'll see how this goes. Probably I did mention that we're at my home club. This is the Cowboy Town. We have basically 9 bays that the Cowboys use, and this is one of their facades. So the building is actually an old school. In fact, you probably saw the Lago sign from the Clint Eastwood movie. So anyway, that's the setting we're in here. Works, folks. That is 21 rounds of 1200 as fast as not as fast as I can pull the trigger, but pretty close. Certainly safely pull the trigger with a 12 gauge. So I'm thinking this thing's broken in. I'm going to get some 1150s. That's really the test, folks. You're going to shoot, some number of rounds. I start with 1350s. I start with the fastest stuff I can find. That's birdshot. It doesn't really matter what the payload is. It can be slugs, it can be buckshot, but let's face it, nobody wants to spend the money on slugs and buckshot just to break in a shotgun. So I get basically the fastest birdshot I can find. Steel doesn't matter, other than we can't shoot steel out here at the gun club. So I have to use lead, and I have to use 7.5 or 7 or smaller up here on this bay. So I'm shooting some 7.5, 1325 is what I started with. I did about 64 rounds of those, and then I jumped over to the Challenger 1200 foot per second 1 ounce loads with 7.5 shot, and I shot a full 21 round magazine of that without an issue. And so my next step is going to be to load one of these 12 round mags up with some 1150s or 1145s. I believe I have some double A's here that are 1145, and if it runs a whole mag, the gun's broken in, folks, and that's right at 100 rounds. In fact, it's less than 100 rounds. It'll be 100 if it shoots all 12 of these. So those of you guys having problems breaking in your VR80, don't know what you're doing. This gun is box stock, other than the add-ons, the carbon fiber, and some of the other things we do as accessories to the outside. I have never, ever had to drill gas ports, and I never will. If you've got maybe a couple defective guns came out, but the reality is I've never had to drill gas ports, not even on an 1100. I had an 1100 I was shooting in for a while. Never had to drill those ports either. These guns run if you take your time, break them in, keep them oiled. I oiled this thing before I came out, and it hadn't given me any trouble. So again, oil them, clean them up, bring them to the range, keep them wet. Your first 2 or 3 shots, you ought to be getting oil on your safety glasses, because it ought to be that wet when you start the break-in process. Anyway, let me grab these 1145s and we'll see what happens next. Guys, as you saw, I had a couple of hiccups with that magazine of soft stuff, so I'm gonna put some more rounds through it, and we will continue. All right, got another 22 rounds of the 1200. Actually, it's a mixture, but it's mostly 1200 foot per second 1 ounce loads. Guys, this is still, you hear that? There's so much oil and this is so well lubricated that's the piston after a little more than 100 rounds just going back and forth without a problem. So again, these things like to be wet. Keep them lubricated. Go. 22 rounds, no hiccups. I'm sorry, 21 rounds, no hiccups. We're gonna load up another 21, then we'll test it again with the light stuff. The other thing I get asked all the time, guys, I get a lot of folks calling me up and saying, hey, can I break in my shotgun over 2 or 3 days? You know, you can, but the whole point is to heat up the internal parts and to let them bed in. You know, the friction and the heat is an important part of breaking these things in. I joke, it's, you know, these are made in Turkey. It's a bunch of guys in tents making their own individual parts. They meet in the central tent, they put the gun together. Some of the parts, it's, you know, it's not like a Colt factory where everything's nice and precise. So they meet in the main tent, they put them together and they ship them in a box. So what we're doing is we're taking those imperfections or those things that are a little bit out of tolerance on a part or two, and we're heating the gun up, we're keeping it lubricated so the friction doesn't gall anything, but the friction is designed to take down some high spots. The heat works with it as well. So that's why it's so important to break in these Turkish shotguns. Lots of these shotguns are coming from Turkey now, guys, and they make some fantastic shotguns, don't get me wrong. But for all intents and purposes, if you want this to be reliable in a 3-gun match, you've got to invest the time in a solid break-in. You know, again, get some shells. 1325s or better is what I like to find. If you can't find them, just, you know, get what you can find and just get a bunch of them and shoot until it runs your favorite soft load like you want it to. And that's the trick. It's no magic, no secrets. Just go out to the range and break it in and you have a good time doing it. So let me get this other mag running. Let's see how it goes. Guys, we're having no trouble with these 1 ounce 1200s at all. So I think it's time to put another 12 rounds of some of the 1145s through it. Double A's, look at that, 1140s. These are expensive. 12 rounds. All right, if it runs this magazine, this gun is broken in and we can go back to the house. Folks, I'd say that works. So it's done, it's broken in, we're good to go. We're gonna zero that red dot and then we're gonna call it a day. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.